How are we doing, everyone? This is Dr. B. Welcome back to the Submission Mindset Podcast. I'm sitting down with my co-host, Nahum. How you doing this morning?
Great, man. Loving our podcast. It's actually getting some traction from people out in the world that I've heard of. So pretty happy about it.
Yeah, especially our last one. We were hating on one of the big schools out there. Just kidding. If you didn't check that podcast out, you should check it out. It's only about 11 minutes long. I liked the conversation, but yeah, the podcast has been great. It's been a lot of fun doing this with you. I know that there's a lot going on with you. You're getting ready for the Worlds here in a week, and I'm trying to finish up with the semester. But man, this is like one of the things that I really have been enjoying doing, just having these good conversations. Yeah, anything else you want to talk to us about, catch us up on?
Just that, man, I'm ready to hit the podium at Worlds. That's all I've been really focused on. A lot of ups and downs recently. We'll get into those later, but yeah, that's my main focus right now, just getting to Worlds and getting up there.
Yeah, well, you've been putting in a lot of hard work for sure, and I know that Worlds is, the biggest and the best tournament really out there, at least for gi anyway. And I'm really excited to see you get out there and perform and compete. Really looking forward to it. Today's episode is on the hero's journey. I really love this topic, and I'm going to let you kind of introduce it, and then I'll kind of head on.
Yeah, definitely. So Joseph Campbell, he was a mythologist, right, that focused on comparative mythology. So he studied myths from all around the world, myths and religions, and he looked for similarities between them. He found this idea of the monomyth, that all the stories of origin follow the same rubric, and he called that the hero's journey,
which is really interesting. It's something that I didn't realize that Hollywood uses this idea of the hero's journey to write their scripts and to develop a story. And then when you were sharing this idea with me and I was researching it, it just, man, it really clicked. I was like, yeah, this is basically what Hollywood does to write a really good epic. And it was really interesting to me to learn that so many different cultures around the world have this type of heroes mythology, which kind of binds us all together, right, as human beings, which means that this idea of being a hero, this idea of life as a journey, is something that is ubiquitous to all human societies and all human cultures. It binds us together, right? Having a journey and having a purpose in life, and not just doing what our parents have done. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but just having our own life and living out our dreams and pursuing whatever it is that we want to pursue.
Yeah, a lot of times we get caught up in thinking that we're not the main character in our own life. A lot of people can easily get caught up being like NPCs or not playing characters, or maybe even just a side character.
Yeah, but an extra.
Nobody
wants to be an extra.
Exactly.
I know extras can get paid well, but if you're being an extra, you're not really living the hero's journey.
Exactly, because at that point you're living someone else's journey or someone else's.
Yeah, you're a prop in somebody else's adventure.
Yeah, and what I really liked about this hero's journey idea is that it's both internal and external.
Yeah, what can you expand on that?
Yeah, so the hero's journey focuses on like kind of three main like aspects, which is like the call to adventure, which is like you're starting off in your same mundane life, and you initiate this change, whether it's forced upon you or whether you're given the opportunity. You can take advantage of the opportunity and you begin in this journey. That can be like maybe getting offered a new job or moving away for college, things like that. And then the second aspect of it is mainly like the actual challenge, the actual road itself, and basically every up and down that it follows. That can be like, if we keep using the college analogy, it can be like struggling with your classes, staying up pulling all nighters, studying for the finals, or if you're a college professor, having to grade all the finals like you are right now. And then finally, like the transformation, the lessons you learn, whether they're for growth, or for knowing that that part is just not for you, and then moving on to something else. But like that can be, like I said, physical, like externally, whether it's going through college, or it can be internally, whether it's you change like a bad habit within yourself,
Oh, I
you
like
face
that.
a fear that you have, in an internal fear.
So it's not just something that you go out and do with your life, like you said, pursuing a new profession. It could also just be overcoming something inside of you, maybe shyness, or maybe you have some intense anxiety about something, and you're able to overcome that
Yeah.
anxiety, and you're able to get yourself to a better place in life, a place where you feel really good about yourself. So it's not really about what other people want for themselves. It's really about what do you want for yourself in your life. Self improvement, becoming the best version that you want to become, not the best version that other people want to see out of you. Because one thing I've learned about this life adventure, just being at this point in my life where I'm 53, is that you're going to have people who are always going to tell you you should be doing this and you should be doing that. They're going to tell you what they think is best for you. And what I always tell people is that you have to live out the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
That a lot of people will put expectations on you because that's what they want for you, but it may not be what you want for yourself. And if you do decide and really feel passionate about pursuing something, I always tell people go for it. Do what makes you happy. And if it doesn't turn out the way that you think it's going to turn out, or maybe you don't get the success that you were expecting to get, or whatever expectations that you had when you started that journey, trust me, you're going to learn so
Yeah.
much about yourself, and you're going to be such a better person for it. You're going to have more life experience, and something good will come from it. And I think so many people just live their life out, and they want to be the hero
Yeah.
in their own story, but they don't do it. So what holds people back? What do you think that is?
Man, well, what's funny is that the journey in itself that we have to, like, get on is the same thing that holds us back, for especially internally, right? So you have a hero's journey that's calling you to get over your fear, of maybe just being, getting out there and believing in yourself. That same fear stops you from getting on that journey of overcoming that fear. And it's always just internal, like doubt. I don't know if I'm kind of making sense with this, but it's always just the what ifs of all the negativity that can go wrong. But in overcoming those same little fears, that's a whole journey in itself.
Do you think people are conditioned to not look at life as an adventure, that life is almost just something that has to be structured, and there's a certain blueprint that you just have to follow, and that we just indoctrinate people and program people to follow that blueprint? You go to school, you get your high school diploma, you go to college, and you get a job, and you pay taxes, and you retire.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's societal norms that we've been indoctrinated with, and a pattern that we have to follow, like going to school to get a 9 to 5 job, and it's kind of set in stone that it's out of our control, to like fix that, or to do something besides that, and because that's the norm and that's what most people do. And when you try to strive away from that, to follow your own journey, you're met with nothing but resistance from people around you,
Unfortunately, yeah.
Since I was like 13, I had my own job. I would dress up as an eagle and wave a sign outside of a tax company during the tax season. And then
Wow.
when I got to high school, I would have to wake up in the mornings before school to go milk cows. And so so I've worked basically all my life, and in every job, I've always like enjoyed working, like just the fact of working, but I've hated like having a job, and at every job. And so I've had so many different jobs throughout my life. I'm 27 now, and I've had jobs from like being an animal control officer to being a busser at a restaurant to milking cows, or to being a street sweeper, substitute teacher, to name a few. And in every single one, I've always enjoyed working, but I've always hated working a job, working for someone else. And I've always thought like I can be my own boss. Like I don't want to be tied down to just doing the same thing day in, day out for someone that doesn't care
How
about me.
early on did you discover that part of yourself where you were just like, man, I like to work, I enjoy working, I enjoy being busy, but I don't enjoy this kind of work, and there's something more for me out there.
I would say really early. I think since I was in high school, I
Nice.
just didn't understand how to go about it then,
Yes.
and I didn't have like the correct guidance. In high school, everyone just kind of telling me to go to college. When
Yeah.
I don't I necessarily didn't want to go to college. I ended up just doing it just because it was the thing to do. If I'm being completely honest, but I'm
Which is
grateful I
pretty
went.
cool because damn, to get a college degree is a lot of commitment, and
True.
man, you that's a big accomplishment, and I have a lot of respect for you as a human being, but the fact that you went to college and you were able to get your degree as quickly as you got it, it's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
it's a really great accomplishment. Just so you know, I have so much respect for people who uh, dedicate themselves to school because I've done it and I remember doing it and thinking to myself, man, I don't know if I can
Mm-hmm.
continue this journey. And anybody who takes it on, especially coming from our backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
where there isn't a lot of people in our families that have an education, and for us to step out of that comfort zone is pretty impressive. So you learned this early
Mm-hmm.
on about yourself. You just knew you wanted something
Yeah.
more, which is something that I could definitely
Yeah.
relate to because I think I felt that way. And you mentioned something about how you know people out there probably want something more in life, and they just don't know how to go about it. And you
Mm-hmm.
had said you didn't know how to go about it. Do you think there's just a bunch of people out there? Because I think there's a lot of people out there who feel like you that
Yeah.
want more, but they just don't know how to go about it.
Yep.
They don't want to do the 9 to 5. They don't want the ho hum existence of getting up in the morning, hopping on the freeway, going to their job site, coming home, having a meal, and then repeating, and then having a little bit of time on the weekend paying taxes and just
Mm-hmm.
going about their business like the majority of Americans do. So, do you think this is something that people want, but they just don't know how to go about it? Is this
Yeah. I think, yeah, exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people out there are just confused, especially with the mass information that's out there. That they don't know how to go about it, and also fear plays a big part in it. Is they don't know how to go about it, and they're scared to look for the answers. Because there is answers out there, but the tough part is that you're gonna have to weed out all the fake news, or yeah, you're gonna have to have bad experiences with people that just don't have your best interest in mind. Because there's a lot of people out there that will try to mentor you, and they say that they have your best interest, but at the end of the day, it's really they just want to use you for their own business, or for their agenda. And then it's tough when you realize that, and you want to go back to that comfort zone, which is working for someone else. And at least the difference between working for someone else and in the comfort zone, like 9 to 5 job, is that they're upfront and they tell you that you're replaceable from the minute that they hire you, and they force you to work as hard as you can, without like any additional reward. So I think, it goes into that whole thing where it's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. Which I don't know if I agree with, but it kind of plays into that whole like 9 to 5, right? Like, you're getting fucked, but you're okay with it because they're upfront with it,
Yeah.
and as long as you get that consistent paycheck, it's okay. But then on the other side, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you have to find out the hard way sometimes, where you think that you're making moves to ascend in life and get better, and then the person that's supposed to be mentoring you and help you elevate is actually holding you back and doing shady shit on the back end. And when you realize that, it's like, damn, you want to just go back to the devil,
Yeah, that's one thing that's really difficult. I think for this call to adventure is, you have to have a lot of trust in yourself and trust in the people around you. And part of this journey as well is sometimes people are going to screw you over.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to get used. And in some cases, you're going to have friendships that are no longer friendships. Uh, Following this kind of hero's journey blueprint in life is definitely, it's not easy. And sometimes the devil, for some folks, maybe that's just the best path for them. And I can't blame people who just go to work every day and come home and live their life out in a very simplistic way. My personal take on it is whatever makes people happy. If that's what you enjoy and that's what you like, then that's fine. For me, I've always wanted just a little bit more. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how to really explain it. It's just I always wanted more. Growing up, I wasn't expected to go to college. I was just expected to work and to get a job. And I did that out of high school. But kind of like you, I hated the job that I was doing. I enjoyed the money. I enjoyed having a little bit of financial freedom, security, whatever you want to call it. But I just knew that it wasn't for me. And I wanted something different with my life. And I don't know, I just always wanted something more. Even when I finished college and I earned my bachelor's, and it was grad school, and I got my master's, and I was like, well, I'm going to finish my PhD. And I already got a tenure track teaching job. And I didn't even need to finish my PhD, but I wanted to finish it. And I always had these goals, these adventures that I wanted to go on. Even getting my black belt, starting jujitsu. I started jujitsu when I was in my 30s, and I wasn't a young kid, and I just wanted to do it. I saw people doing jujitsu the first time back in UFC 1, and I was like, man, I want to do that. And I don't know, I just have always wanted to try different things, always been curious. I think that's what drew me to sociology. And I think it's a good way to live your life. But there are trials and there are lessons that come from that as well. People stabbing you in the back, and people who you think are good mentors in the beginning, you find out, but they're really looking out for their self-interest. So those are things that you have to be careful for. What's one of the biggest challenges that you faced in pursuing a more adventurous life?
The negativity from everyone else, I would say. It's easy to stay motivated when you just keep getting like a constant affirmation from people, and and they support you in whatever endeavor you're doing. But it's hard to just stay disciplined and continue to, when everyone just tells you that you're gonna fail, or that you shouldn't be doing this because you're not making any money yet, and you should just go get a job for your future. Stop wasting your time. Stop training jujitsu and go get a real job. Type of thing. I think that the negativity, just being able to block that out, that's like one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah. So how do you block it out? What do you do when you do encounter that?
Now, now I just don't care. Now I just laugh. I just laugh because it's easy to just look at their lives, and if they're not living a life that you want, or a life that they even want, why even listen? Why why even take their advice if they're not even where they want to be? If they're just telling you to not pursue your dreams or not pursue the life that you want because they're envious that you have bigger goals, why listen? So at this point, I just laugh. I just laugh, nod, thumbs up, thanks.
Which I think is great advice. You can listen to people
Yeah.
and even their negativity, you can
Mm-hmm.
listen to that or whatever feedback that they want to give you, and you can just let it go in one ear and out the
Mm-hmm.
other. I think that's really good advice for people out there who maybe their family doesn't understand, maybe their partner, even their best friends
Yeah.
don't understand what they're doing, but they don't have to understand because it's your life,
Yeah.
and they're not the ones that have to wake up with whatever decisions that you're making. You're the one that has to live with the decisions that you make in your life. And as long as you're pursuing your dreams and your
Mm-hmm.
goals and your passions, and it's what you really want to do, it's totally worth it to pursue that hero's journey
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just doing what people want you to do and becoming a ritualist. And I know we had talked about Robert Merton and
Mm-hmm.
Emil Durkheim and the concept of anomie. And Robert Merton says there's a couple different reactions
Mm-hmm.
that people have to living in this world that we live in, where the pursuit is always like money and wealth
Yeah.
and having a bunch of material possessions. And he says that one of the reactions is that people just become a ritualist. They just get
Mm-hmm.
worn down by life, and they just go through the motions. They go to work every day, they hop on the freeway, and they drive to their job, and they can't wait till they get to lunch break so they can scroll on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to their workstation, they finish up their shift, and they go back home, and they're just not looking to do much else. And they just go through this ritual. That was never
Yeah.
going to be me. I am not a ritualist, and I think that so many
Mm-hmm.
people live this ritualistic lifestyle, and I love adventure and I love challenging myself. And I think if you want to live a life that's different than the norm, you have to be willing to take on challenges, whether it's jujitsu, knowing that you're going to suck at it
Mm-hmm.
and then having to get better. I mean, you are really good at jujitsu now, but when you first
I
came
don't think
in,
so.
oh no, you're really good, and you're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, one of the best blue belts that I've seen, and you've had to work hard to get to where you're at. But when you first came in, you sucked like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to take on those challenges, and maybe some people are cool just with the status quo. And personally, for me, it just didn't work. Now, with this, there's going to be definitely
Mm-hmm.
trials and lessons that you're going to learn. Can you kind of tell me maybe one of the biggest lessons that you've had in your life that you've
Mm-hmm.
had to come to grips with through trying to do things a little differently?
Yeah, so one of the biggest lessons is that even though you are in the journey for yourself and attempting to be the hero in your own journey, you still need others to be able to fulfill that journey. And biggest example we can give is any movie out there. No one ever goes on a journey themselves. Along the way, they always find sidekicks, they always find mentors, they always find friends.
That's a great
and
point.
and that's one of the things that I've had to learn because I hate asking for help. I hate asking for help. Especially because a common theme is that whenever I do end up asking for help, the person that helps me always ends up using that to their advantage, or to kind of like expect something, or expect my help, or you know um, it ends up biting me in the ass a lot of the times, having to ask for help. But you know you need other people. You need other people throughout your journey in many, many different ways. Jiu-jitsu, for example, you can't do all the shrimps you want, all the solo drills you want, but you need someone else to train with, to train technique with. You need other people to even compete with in order to be known. So you're always gonna need other people in multiple different ways. And I've had to learn that the hard way, especially when it comes to asking for help.
Yeah, I think that's one of the criticisms of the hero's journey that I was reading about and how it's hyper individualistic. But I think that you hit on a really good point about how you need others to assist in this adventure that you're on, in this new project that you're working on, that something you always wanted to do. And we can't do it alone, right?
Yeah.
We need support, we need good mentors, and in some cases, those individuals are readily available to assist you and to help you. In some cases, man, people spend a lot of years getting really bad advice from people who don't know what the hell they're talking
True.
about. Personally, for me, I've been so lucky. I've had so many amazing people that have wanted nothing from me except to see me do better. That's it. Just to see me do better. And I would say, when you're on a different path, maybe you're going to have people out there who are very negative about whatever it is that you're doing, family members who don't agree, don't understand. But if you find good people who believe in you and people who just give you positive reinforcement, good feedback on whatever it is that you're, honest feedback as well. People have to be honest with you. Man, you're going to get to wherever you want to get to. And I can say in my life, like when I was going to school, I think about people like Bob Fisher. He was one of my college professors who was more than just a professor. He was a life mentor, and he taught me about life. I go all the way back to my wrestling coaches, and they were just amazing human beings in terms of pushing you really hard, but also educating you a little bit about how the skills that you were learning on the mat could translate into just general life skills that can help you overcome obstacles. And I had really good people like that, and I leaned on those individuals, and they never wanted anything in return. They never wanted me to do anything for them. It wasn't as if I was feeling as though, well, this person wants to help me because they're getting something from it. And I've been really lucky in that way. Not to say that I haven't had some conflicts. I want to get into conflicts as well, because we were talking about like having enemies and having conflicts. There's going to be people out there who want to see you fail, unfortunately. But I've had a good mix of both, good mentors and people who want to see me fail, which kind of sucks. And but it's important to find allies and people, even people who are just happy for you that you're even pursuing something that you want to pursue, as opposed to the negative people. The negative people are always going to be there, no matter what. You can't do nothing about that. In one ear, out the other. I've had so much negativity in my life thrown at me. I just ignore it. I just keep pushing. But I think what really has kept me on a good path in my life is always the good mentors that I've run into. And I've just been around some amazing people who, so many I can't even name because I'd probably leave somebody out. But starting with people like Bob Fisher, my wrestling coaches, and Linda Fuller, University of Oregon, one of my mentors, and people who just did so much for me and just wanted to see me do better. And man, having those kind of people on your side, giving you good advice and guiding you and not asking anything in return is really, I think it's really a beautiful thing. It's hard to find that, unfortunately.
Definitely.
Yeah. But if you can, you definitely want to find those types of people, because if you don't, you could spin your wheels a little bit. You can make a lot of mistakes, and then you might just become a ritualist, which is, in my view, is never a good thing. So let's talk about the enemies. You ever have any enemies or people who are
a lot, man,
trying to do you in?
I don't like to call them enemies because I have no animosity towards them. I like just to call them haters.
There you go.
Haters. And my philosophy for this is, if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. So you're probably not doing anything of importance if you have no haters.
Well, it's easy to live a ho-hum life and just sit
Mm-hmm.
back and watch everybody get out there and hustle and do something different than what other people are doing and take shots at them.
Yeah.
It's easier to do that. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, because of social media, because we're in contact with one another with our devices, with our use of all the different platforms like TikTok or Instagram or what have you, it's easy to just like analyze somebody's life real quick and then pass all kinds of judgments on
True.
them. And it kind of sucks because, there's a lot of people out there, I think, who struggle with that part of this life journey that all of us are on, whether or not we think our life is interesting or not, is still a journey. And I think people struggle with just feeling as if whatever it is that they want to do isn't going to be accepted by others, because there is that human drive to want to be accepted and to not want to be disliked. Who wants to be
Yeah.
disliked? And I'll be honest, it's held me back at times where I feel like I have taken a few steps back and not done things because I feel like, well, people aren't going to like me, or it's going to put me out there so where I'm going to take criticism.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to take criticism. So how do you handle that? How do you handle criticism?
I handle criticism as constructive criticism, whether it's said to try to lift me up, or whether it's said to try to put me down. You can take it with a grain of salt and always find something in the comments that are like worth using and using for good. So if talk about how my guard passing sucks or something, hey, it might be true, but you know what? Thanks for pointing that out. Whether you meant
Have
it,
I ever pointed that out? Is your
all the
guard?
time, all the time. Whether you say it because you want me to focus on it and improve, or whether you're just saying it just because you're being a hater. And regardless, if it's true, dude, you can take it and analyze it, and then use it for good, use it to improve it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, criticism's hard to deal with at times. I know for me, there's been some moments where I have felt like it's just been overwhelming. And I think when you do step out of the norm, I think taking criticism can be more difficult because you're doing things that most people aren't doing.
Yeah.
So when somebody criticizes my gym, I'll just give you an example. So I've had so many people tell me, well, you should do this. I don't know why you don't do that. And what about this? And people don't realize how fucking hard it's been to do what I've done. Maybe it's shitty. I don't know. Maybe my gym sucks at times. Maybe I suck as a gym owner. Maybe I don't always carry myself in the best way. I don't know. Whatever the criticisms may be. But I don't think a lot of people really get how hard it is to do some of the things that I've done. And so when somebody criticizes it, there's times where it does hurt a little bit because I'm like, man, like I've poured so many hours into this and not sleeping, not being around my family. And I built this from nothing. And then I have people just come along and will just like take a shot at it like nothing. And sometimes it does bother me. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm a human being. And there's times I don't take criticism very well. And I think that what I have to do sometimes is I have to try to kind of compartmentalize. If somebody's criticizing me, I try to say, well, that person doesn't know what it's like to be me and isn't on my journey. And what I'm doing is what I want to do.
Do you think it's easier to take the criticism when you have clarity of what you're doing and what your end goal is?
No, I think it's kind of back to what you had said. If it's somebody who really cares about me and understands what I'm doing and the way I want to do it, I can take criticism from that type of individual, right? And I wouldn't even call it criticism. I just good advice. I wouldn't even look at it as criticism. But I think just people who just take shots at you about how you did something, or don't understand why you do things the way that you do it, and so they immediately assume that there's something wrong with it. I've dealt with a lot of that, even from people who are close to me, people who should be supportive of me. I've had people, unfortunately, I feel, just kind of take shots at me, not because they're trying to be mean or rude or inconsiderate. I think just because maybe they're looking at things from their own perspective and not really taking into consideration how hard it's been just to even do. I look at the gym every day and I can't even believe it. Like, man, like, how did this come to be? And and then I look back at all the hard work and the time that went into it. And I was telling Brenda too about how, because the gym has been open for 8 years, but I've been training for over 20. So this adventure, this jiu-jitsu adventure, literally spans more than 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for that gym to exist. I was thinking about it. I was like, for the gym to exist, I had to overcome the fear when I would drive by that gym. I really want to go in there. I want to try this out. I want to give it a go. What if I would have never went in there?
Yeah.
What if I would have just said, you know what? I'm old. I'm an old guy in my 30s. Why do I want to train jiu-jitsu? But I did. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I didn't have to train jiu-jitsu, but it's something I wanted to try. I wanted to do it. It looked like a lot of fun. And, I tried it out that one time, and I was really hooked, and it has turned out to be this really incredible journey. And I really tried my best to enjoy like all of it. But there's been some times where I felt like I haven't had a chance to enjoy it because of the idea of trying to please people, and I think that's something that is hard when you do things different. You still have that internal drive that we all want to like make as many people around us as happy as we can. And that's one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, was that, man, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to please everybody. And then some people are just going to come along and they're just going to hate what you do. But we are hardwired as human beings to pay attention sometimes to that. So I just have to compartmentalize that the best way I can and then move on. But it's not easy.
It's funny that you mentioned all the way since the beginning of your jiu-jitsu journey, because this whole idea of the hero's journey and the monomyth is that it's cyclical. It's like never ending, because the only constant in life is change itself. And whenever change appears, that's when a whole new journey can begin. And so even within your jiu-jitsu journey as a white belt, that's when your hero journey started for jiu-jitsu. And when throughout those 20 plus years, you've had multiple journeys within it. Another one was, getting each bout was like a journey in itself. And then
point.
when you finally become a black belt and then have the opportunity to open up your own school, I'm sure there was hesitation. And that's a whole nother beginning of a whole nother hero's journey. And then every subsequent location you've got into, it's another one. And then having to, how you said, please all the people, every little obstacle can be either one big obstacle in like your lifelong hero's journey of jiu-jitsu, or it can be its own little journey. Even your injury, your back injury, that's an abrupt change, and that's a whole other like hero's journey in itself, just to get over the mental aspects of your injury, and then having to kind of rebuild your body up again, and then to the point where you
Readjusting
can,
my life and having to do things differently. No, you're hitting on some really great points about this way of living. And I guess when we have a setback, we could all just throw our hands up and decide, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe you don't have the results you want when you go and compete. You're like, I'm not going to compete anymore. I've seen this with people where they have one setback and, man, they just go, oh, I can't do this. And they just decide to not pursue whatever it is that they were pursuing. So how do you overcome setbacks? How do you deal with that thing that's going to come up regardless of whatever it is you're trying to do? Somebody's going to come along and burst your bubble, or you're going to make a mistake and it's going to cause some type of pain and suffering when you're on this journey. How do you deal with that and not let that get you off that good path that you're on?
Man, that's a great point. So far, I think the way I've been managing now is realizing that that's all it is. It's a setback, and because at this point in life, I have a very clear vision of what I want my future to be, and every obstacle that's come forth. I have to just realize that that's all it is, just an obstacle, just a setback, something that I have to overcome in order to get to where I want to get to. And I think that's the biggest key point, just realizing that that's all it is, a setback, and not the end of the road.
Yeah. And also, would you agree too, your setbacks are opportunities to reflect as well, right?
Oh,
On what went
definitely.
wrong. It's a learning experience. How can you get to where you're going to without having a few setbacks and hitting some major
True.
bumps in the road to where you have to really reevaluate, where you have to maybe look at some decisions that you made that weren't so good. And then if you do that and you pivot and you learn from those mistakes and you gain that experience, man, that's going to set you up so much better for the future. And I think some people, they get one setback. I've seen it in jiu-jitsu. Somebody gets a setback and maybe they get an injury or maybe their job changes, something happens. And this is really frustrating for me. It's something that I have to struggle with as a jiu-jitsu coach and as a college professor as well. When my students have one little obstacle, and I call it a little obstacle because everything that they've experienced, I feel like I've also experienced in some way. And I know they can overcome it. I know that they're going through will pass, but they will let it derail them.
Yeah.
And
So
that's frustrating.
um, that's a great point, because we have to understand that our journey is not linear. And so, Joseph Campbell, when he explained his idea of the monomyth, about the hero's journey, he wrote a book called "The Hero with a Thousand Faces," and Christopher Vogler, he made a modern adaptation, and he did it, broke it down into 12 different steps, and he made a diagram with those 12 steps as well, to kind of show that this journey is cyclical, that it's not linear. And so
I like that.
when, like, in his modern adaptation, the journey always starts in the ordinary world, like, for just your same daily life. For example, like, one of the examples that they gave when they were explaining this concept of the ordinary life. You watched Harry Potter?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
how
not really. I just lied right now. I really damn it. I have watched like bits and
yeah.
pieces of
Well,
it.
are you familiar? You're familiar with
I'm
the
kind
story,
of
though,
familiar
right?
with the
Well,
story. Yeah.
it's the story doesn't matter. It's the whole, just the idea of how, like, the origin begins. In most of the movies, the hero origin starts with showing their, like, daily life, their ordinary life. For, like, example, Harry Potter was just his daily life of living under the stairs, and just having to be like his aunt and uncle's, like, slave, and stuff like that, right? And then it ends in the special world. And for Harry Potter, the end of his journey, was getting to Hogwarts, that whole special magical world. It's the easiest way for people to understand. And then it before,
Or Frodo leaving the Shire.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Frodo lives in the
So
Shire and everything's so simplistic. And then now he has this other life mission, right? Where
Exactly.
he's the one's got the ring. So
Yeah.
I've watched Lord of the Rings.
Okay, cool.
If you would use that analogy, I would have been able to
It's
understand a little bit more.
true. There you go. So
Yeah.
so they start in the ordinary world, then they transition to the special world,
Yeah.
and then to finish off their journey, whatever lesson, whatever powers, whatever they gain, whatever insights they gain in the special world, they bring it back to the ordinary world. And so that's why it's always cyclical. It's never just linear. So you
Yeah.
never start at point A and then end in point B. So it's you always start in your regular life, do a whole circle throughout your journey, and those lessons that you learn, you bring them back to your ordinary world to improve your life or to improve others.
I like that a lot, and I believe in that, and that's something that I feel as though we should all use our life experiences and our education for what you just said. There's one of my favorite scholars. His name is Vine Deloria Jr. He's an indigenous native scholar. He was, I think he's from Standing Rock. Anyway, he passed away some years ago, and he talked about the ultimate goal of life. And he basically said it's just to acquire knowledge and wisdom. Not knowledge in the sense that you just know history or you know whatever it is that we're supposed to know, how to read, how to write, how to do mathematics. He said it's to acquire some type of knowledge that gives you wisdom, that gives you life experiences. And that's the whole point of just like collecting these life experiences, so that way you have this collective knowledge that you've acquired throughout your life that you can then bring back to your community and share. And I love that because I feel like that's a big part of how I've tried to live my life, is how Vine Deloria explained it. The meaning of life is to gain knowledge, so that way you can turn that knowledge into having some kind of wisdom that you can take that wisdom and whatever it is that you've learned and bring it back to the people around you and help make their lives better. And I feel like the gym with jujitsu, that's what motivated me to open a gym, is to help people out and to give people opportunity to do something that I never thought I would be able to do, and to be able to share. And the same for my education as well, is that, obviously I'm an educator, and I love being able to share with my students just how incredible I know that they are, and I know that they can do all these amazing things in their life, and to be an example of that for them is something that feels really, really good. And that's why I really like this idea of the hero's journey, because it's a reflection of my life. If I had lived the life of the people that I come from, I wouldn't be here today doing this podcast. I wouldn't have even tried to start a podcast. I've been podcasting for 5 years now, and I always wanted to do it. Nahum, I really wanted to do a podcast. Years ago, I wanted to start a podcast. But for whatever reason, something was holding me back. It wasn't the right time. And I finally, during COVID, when COVID hit, I said, today I'm going to learn how to do a podcast. And by the end of today, I'm going to have my first episode out. It was like a 6-minute episode that I put out 5 years ago. And here I am today. I know so much more. It's led me to photography and videography and all these really cool things that I feel it has added to my story. And not that I'm trying to build a story for anybody else. It's just for me. I enjoy it. People always ask me, why do you do this? Because I like it. Yeah. Because it's fulfilling. And I enjoy training jiu-jitsu. I enjoy doing content and sharing with people history and different perspectives. I enjoy my motorcycle club and all the problems that come with it. Right? I just enjoy it. So anyway, I really liked how you did that explanation. So I want to ask you a question, because this is the journey isn't always pleasant. So have you ever had any dark time in your life where you're like, man, it's not good, where you just thought, I don't know if I could pull myself out of this?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. You know, what's funny is that I've thought I've hit rock bottom multiple times, and in each time I think I hit rock bottom, I'm like, dang, like,
Okay, let me ask you, what was like the worst time? I want to know the
yeah.
worst time.
The worst time was I had just ended my life insurance business. I decided that I wasn't going to pursue it anymore. I was in debt with credit cards. I hadn't made my car payment. I was waiting. It was after COVID. I was waiting for a PPP loan approval during those times for for the business owners. I had to move out from where I was living because for mental reasons, and I was crashing in one of my fraternity brothers' couch.
Oh man.
In this apartment, didn't have any like central heating and air. It was just like one of those little square ones that are attached to the window, and even then that shit didn't work. And so I would cry. I would almost cry myself to sleep at night because I couldn't breathe because it was so hot, and like I have asthma, and things like heat and like allergies induce my asthma, and so a lot of times I could not sleep because I couldn't breathe of how hot it was. And one day I woke up and they had repoed my car because I didn't have the money to pay, and it was rock bottom there. My hair was falling out. I was overweight, and this was like before I started jujitsu, like right before I started jujitsu. I think I was like 230. I was like 230.
See, I don't remember that
No?
time. I don't remember you being overweight. I
Yeah.
remember you being a little. When I look at you now, you're very fit, and your
Like
face
thin.
is different. It's thin, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do remember like you had a more fuller face, but I would never have described you as being overweight. But it's all about how we
Yeah,
see ourselves,
yeah,
right?
to my standards, yeah. To my
Yeah.
standards, I was overweight. I felt greasy, dude. Like
Oh,
I felt um like a ball of lard.
oh.
That's how I felt. I didn't even feel like comfortable. And then on top of that, I like throughout my whole life, I've known that I was gonna go bald because all my uncles are bald. I have one uncle that has hair, and that's because it's a hair transplant. Everyone else bald, So I've always dreaded the moment, and at that point, I was just going through so much stress, and I just was such a dark mentally that. My hairline started receding, and that happened so quick. Like I have pictures. Within months, I had like a full like nice hairline, and then months later, it's thin hair, receded hairline. It was crazy, but yeah. So I thought I was rock bottom there, and a couple of days later, I got approved to the PPP loan, paid to get my car back, and then I decided then and there I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to be a fighter. I'm gonna go check this gym out, and I did it and
That's
never
awesome,
looked
man.
back.
Yeah, I love
But that
that
was one of
story.
the rock bottom
I
moments
don't
right
love the
there.
story of you in your dark period,
Yeah.
but I love how you came out of that. And it was who brought you into the gym again?
Julian. Yeah.
Julian. That's right,
Boy
Julian. I've been
Julian. Shout out.
Yeah, big shout out to Julian. He doesn't
Yeah.
train with us anymore because he moved, which
Hmm.
broke my heart. By the way, when he came to me and he said he was moving away because I enjoyed training with him. Great
Hmm.
person, great training partner, man. Anyway, move back to Fresno,
Yeah.
bro, so you can come back and train with
Dude,
us.
he just sent me a Craig Jones instructional that I'll show you after.
Oh, cool. Right
Yeah.
on. Yeah, Julian's like good people. So you were able to get past that, start your jiu-jitsu
Hmm.
journey, and look where you're at today.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so you're on your way.
My hair is getting fuller again. You know,
He's
I
wearing a
weigh,
hat right now, so we can't
I,
really see, but
I weigh 185.
yeah,
Feeling good, man.
yeah, for sure. No, it's this life is so crazy. And I was when I was thinking about the podcast, I was looking back at my my adult life mostly, and thinking about what was like the darkest place I was in. Because I've been like you, I've had multiple times where I've been like, oh, I can't bring myself out of this. Definitely my divorce. I would say that was the roughest time. I just wanted to throw my hands up and just give up on everything. I was homeless, like you were saying, I was
Yeah.
homeless. I didn't have enough money to pay or do my taxes. I was a couple years behind on taxes. It was a miserable, miserable time. And I remember I was getting mail saying I owed this much money. It was like tens of thousands of dollars. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't pay this. I mean, I literally was broke. And I never thought I would ever come out of that. I really thought that that was just going to do me in forever. And what, you know, what I realized looking back in that, at that period of my time is like, man, we could go through so much. We could be at the lowest of the low,
Yeah.
and we can pull ourselves out of that.
That's true.
And I've done all the stuff I've done in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. You know, it's after that really horrible period in my life. And so I have to always tell myself that sometimes I'm hard on myself. I wish I have done more. I wish I could do more. And I wish I can, you know, be at a better place in life. But I think just surviving some of those low moments is an accomplishment in and of itself. And to be able to continue to do things like I opened the gym after I got a divorce, and I started podcasting and doing all these other things that I feel bring a lot of value to my life and has added to my life adventure. And as hard as it's been, I've learned a lot, and I'm very appreciative of everything that I have. Every day, I feel so thankful, you know, to have good people to talk with right here, have these really good conversations, and having the gym, having my job, having a home to, you know, a bed to sleep in that, you know, is my own. It's just really, really very, very rewarding. But definitely those low moments are going to come. And the only advice I could give for people is that you will overcome it if you want to.
That's
if you
true.
want to overcome it, you have to want to.
Yeah.
If you don't want to and you let life kick you in the gut and then just keep you down, yeah, it's going to be really, really hard. But you definitely have to not allow these dark periods to get the best of you, which is easier said than done. Let me tell you, because there's been a lot of times I wanted to give up. But anyway, you have a quote here that I want you to
Yeah,
read.
so I think this quote fits perfectly right now because a lot of times when we're in our lows in life, we think life is happening to us. When we get into the victim mentality, we're always like, "Damn, we can't catch a break." You know, like I'm a bad luck. You know, like everything happens.
cursed.
Yeah, I'm cursed. Everything happens to me.
I've said all those things, by the way.
And then we forget that you know life doesn't happen to us. That you know we happen to life. You know, we have life ourselves, and which means that we can create our own life.
I love that.
And anyways, like we're talking about Joseph Campbell and how he's a mythologist, and throughout his studies of just myths all around the world, he dropped this really good quote that just resonates with me, and it goes like this: life has no meaning. Each of us have meaning, and we bring it to life. It's a waste to be asking the question when you are the answer. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like that because I feel like it empowers us, right? It basically says that we have a chance to make our life matter. We have an opportunity to do something that is amazing, or maybe to not do anything at all, but that lies within. And I totally believe that, because I think that there's so many people out there today who feel as though life owes them something, or that whatever is going on with their life hasn't turned out the way that they wanted to turn out. And they have this attitude as if, man, there's just no meaning at all.
Yeah.
And I just want to shake those people and say, you know what? It's you. You're the
Mm-hmm.
problem. You have to make your life the way that you want it to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of our own suffering, I feel, for me anyway, and I could be truthful, I could look at the camera and say this, a lot of my own suffering is caused by me. And I think that's the case for a lot of us. We're just self-destructive and we do things that we know aren't good for our lives, whether it's drinking, whether it's doing drugs, or whatever it is that people do that they know isn't good for them. And then they wonder why their life doesn't have a lot of meaning. If you
Mm-hmm.
want your life to have meaning, you have to take life by the balls and you have to run with it. And that's not an easy thing to do. And I really have had to be honest with myself about mistakes I've made. And, when I was in the lowest of the low, I had to look at myself and not blame anybody else and blame
Yeah.
me. I don't know if that was a way off base on the quote, but that's kind of
No.
how I see it.
No, that's true because you can't be a victim to your circumstances because people prove that wrong every single day with rags to riches stories. People like Daisy Fresh. They didn't have money to pay for to go to some expensive school, and they empowered themselves to train and become the best in the world with what they had. And I think that we need to take a look at ourselves and actually find purpose within us and put it out into the world. So I found myself a lot of the times thinking like, dude, what the fuck is the point of all this? And I have to remind myself I am the point. The whole point is for me to put something out in the world, not try to find something out in the world to fill my own void.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the world doesn't owe us anything. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very self centered way of looking at things. I feel an obligation to my family, to the people around me, to be the best person that I can
Mm-hmm.
be. So that way I can do my part in making the world better. And if I want things to be a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
then I have to be a reflection of that, and I have to work towards that, as opposed to this search for the meaning of life. Like a lot of people, they just want
Mm-hmm.
life to reveal something for them, and I don't want to get too far off into some other topic, but that's one reason
Mm-hmm.
why I don't um, get caught up in religion as
Yeah.
well. It's because I feel as though a lot of people do use religion as a crutch, and when things don't work out well for them, well, that's just the way that you
Yeah.
know God wanted it for me and whatnot. And I don't look at it like that. I think that all of us have um, an opportunity, especially where we are in this country. I do recognize in other places some people have very few opportunities to no opportunities, but I'm not going to shame my ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
everything they had to go through to get me here, by being a little whiny crybaby about all the
Mm-hmm.
dumb mistakes that I have made in my life. No, I want to go and do the best with what I got. And am I rich? No, in terms of financially. Am I rich in experiences in life? Fuck yeah, I am. Man, I've got a whole crazy life story
Mm-hmm.
that people wouldn't even believe. Like I'm in a motorcycle club. I'm in a motorcycle
Mm-hmm.
club. I got so much that I could share about that that I've never really even talked about, and experiences that have given my life so much. Just like I can't even um, believe I've been able to live the life that I've lived at times. It's really pretty cool. And a lot of it just stems from just me not accepting the status quo,
Mm-hmm.
not accepting what other people want for me, and just going after the things that I want.
And then talking about your experiences, do you think that they have helped you impart wisdom on others?
Oh, for sure, 100%. Going back to teaching
Mm-hmm.
and just being able to just share. And honestly, I don't never really saw myself as a mentor to anybody or trying to. I never wanted to be that.
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of naturally started to happen when you start teaching people. And then, like, I'll just give you an example. So at the gym, when I was hanging out with Mel, and a student came by, I didn't recognize the student, but the student was like, "Man, you changed my life," and I just can't believe all the stuff that I'd learned from you, and how it put me on a different path in life. And I didn't know who the student was. I've had thousands of students, but it felt so good to hear that. And I didn't even know I was doing that at that time in my life. And it took me a while to realize how impactful I can be on another person's life. And I don't think you understand that yet, but you're going to understand, because you are impacting people's lives right now today. These little kids that you're teaching in the kids' classes, the adults, people that are older than you are mentoring them. You are improving their life today. You're having an impact that is going to resonate literally for years to come for other people. And it took me a long time to recognize that, and I kind of accepted that role in my life, that I like trying to be a mentor now to people. And I don't try to do it in the sense that I'm like, hey, I want to be your mentor, I'm going to teach you. I just do what I do, and through doing that, through teaching, through sharing life experiences with my students, through sociology, through Native American studies, it's been a lot of fun to see other people flourish. And just to give you another example, so yesterday when I finished my last face-to-face final, I had about 3 students come up to me and tell me about how the class had impacted them. And I don't want to share too much. Some of the stuff is very personal that students will share with me, and kind of like we've talked about, life obstacles, overcoming these really dark places. And I just think that's something that I've kind of embraced, is that, I've had all these life experiences. I'm in these positions where I can share knowledge that I have, and it's super impactful on people. I mean, we have the chance to change people's lives, and that's a beautiful thing.
And you know what? Hearing you say that makes it funny how the criticism of the hero's journey is that it's individualistic and like selfish.
That's right.
Because the whole point of a hero's journey is to bring the lessons back to the ordinary world and share them with others. And throughout your individual journey, because yes, everyone's in their own individual journeys, but when they accomplish their journey, all the knowledge and all the wisdom and skills that they gain, they don't keep them for themselves. They impart them in others. And so that's why I don't think the hero's journey is like individualistic, because throughout the journey, you're going to be impacting others, whether you like it or not.
Such a good point. Yeah, without a doubt. And that is one of the criticisms that I read up on, how it is hyper individualistic. But I feel like that's kind of the cyclical nature of it. Is you go on that life journey, and towards the end, you bring all that wisdom back home. You're a better person, and you're going to impact the people around you in really incredible ways. And I look at other people's lives and their life adventure that they went on, and how that impacted me. Because I have people who I'll look at their life, I'm like, man, they lived a really amazing life. Look what they built.
Yeah.
And I'll sit and want to talk with those people and learn from them. Like, even in the motorcycle club world, I've had a couple good mentors. And I have a brother who is about my age, a little bit older. And he's been one of my mentors in that world. And he's really changed my life. And he's taught me so much. And he's given me an opportunity to take the knowledge that he shared with me, the wisdom that he had, so that I can go and do some things that I feel like will also help others out. And yeah, I think just, man, living that kind of life of an adventure, having that adventurous nature, whatever you want to call it, the hero's journey, being that hero, man, you're going to run into other heroes, right? And yeah, you're going to encounter the haters, and you're going to encounter the negativity, but man, your life is going to be so interesting. And that's what I want. I want people to be able to pursue the things that they want to pursue. And whatever that is, as long as you're not hurting people, as long as you're not destroying people's lives.
No.
If your ambition doesn't sit well with your family or your friends, well, it's your life. It's not theirs.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed.
Anything else you want to add here before we end the show? This has been a lot of fun, by the way. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just want to add that don't let life happen to you. You know, you have control over your life, and you're on a journey, whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not, you're on a journey. Whether it's your journey or whether you're the hero in your journey or the hero in someone else's journey, it's up to you. But regardless, you're going to be on a lifelong journey. So might as well embrace it and take the call to action and join that adventure.
Yeah. Man, all kinds of good things will happen for you. You'll make all kinds of mistakes.
For sure.
You'll have some dark periods, and then you're going to break through. And when you have that breakthrough, it's going to feel really good. One last thing I'd say to everybody, if you're listening to this still, appreciate you tuning into the Submission Mindset podcast. One mistake that I made along the way, and I wish I would have mentioned this earlier in the episode, is not taking the time to smell the roses and enjoying every little victory that you got. Enjoy it and celebrate it, because life isn't easy, and it's even harder when you take the hero's path. So enjoy the wins. When you get to that point to where you're like, man, I didn't realize I'd get here, take some time to take it all in. And don't just be like, okay, that was no big deal, move on to the next thing, because it's a big deal. And so for all those people graduating from college out there, man, enjoy that time. You got your cap and gown on, your regalia, and, you know, make it last. Make that that good feeling of accomplishment last as long as you can.
Heck yeah, I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Nahum, let's go ahead and share our social media. If people want to reach out, I'll let you go first.
For our podcast on Instagram, it's Submission Mindset. And then my individual Instagram account is STC_Nahum, spelled NAHUM.
All right. And then, of course, you can reach out to our gym. It's 7Gen BJJ. That's our handle. That's our Instagram. 7Gen podcast is my personal podcast I've been doing for 5 years. You can reach out to me there. You can check out some of my content there as well. But definitely reach out. Definitely follow us, please. The Submission Mindset is a new podcast, and we're looking for any type of feedback, questions that you guys might have. This is something that I've been wanting to do for the longest time. I'm really excited that I have a great host to do this show with, and this has been a lot of fun. I want you all to be a hero out there, be an actor in this life, not a prop, not an extra. And until the next episode, man, just keep pushing whatever obstacles that you have, you can overcome.
Yeah, let us know what journey you're on. We'd love to hear and read about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good, really good way to end the show. Is if you're on any type of life adventure and you have any questions, man, you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to offer up any type of advice, or we would just want to hear what are you guys doing out there? What life adventure are you on? Share.
You probably won't want my advice, but you'll have my support.
All right, y'all. This is the Submission Mindset podcast. I appreciate y'all. If you're training jiu-jitsu, stay on the mats. If you're not training, you're thinking about it, find a gym. Don't forget, if you're in the Fresno area, come check us out, 7th Generation Jiu-Jitsu. We have no drop-in fees. Nahum has got Worlds here in about a week. Yeah, 1 week from today. So when we come back, we'll definitely talk about the results and enjoying what we're doing here. Let's just keep it going. All right, y'all. Later.